Hello, this is my data protocol for AEP 858 Module 17. So my data protocol would consist of 4 different areas: activate and engage, explore and discover, organize, and then integrate and reflect. So what I would do with the activate and engage, that's where I would have teachers look at what's the prior knowledge they have for the data that we are looking at, whatever that data would be. State test scores, demographics, anything like that. What do they already know about that data? And then I would, with my staff, I would set up a dialogue about data, how to talk about data, how to collect data, um, how to use the data correctly, as in like using it in the classroom, in your teaching. And then that would also be where they would collect data. So they would be in this stage, they would be collecting their data, um, or they would gather their data to be looked at. And then we would determine what indicators we're looking for successful students. So what are some indicators that we're looking for to help students be successful? Then under explore and discover, um, we would look for patterns, trends, and other areas um, that teachers are noticing, either that are high, low, are there any gaps? Then I would have them decide what, or not decide, but I would have them look at, were there any surprises? Um, were there, or what did they discover by looking at this data, whether it be looking at data for reading or math? What surprised them with it? Were the majority of the students, were they successful with it, or were a majority of the students unsuccessful with it? Um, and make observations about the data. What did they discover? What were surprises? And then any questions they had concerning the data. So if there were a chunk of students that did really good on looking at this particular data set, say it's for reading, and they're a reading test score, and bunch of the students did really good. Um, is that to be a concern or not? Or if a bunch of students were doing really poorly on that particular set of data. And then I would have them determine a solution. So what solution would they have to either close any gaps they're noticing in their data, or to continue the growth that they're seeing? Then in my next category is organize. So this would kind of be where they would organize their data, and that would be, as I said in previous modules, I would want to have like a cohesive way to collect data throughout the school. That way everybody's on the same page and knows um, where it's at, where the data goes, this is where it's collected, and how to collect it, and there's no questions, no confusion. Just making sure that it's organized, they know where to get it, they know how to decipher the data, so on and so forth. And then um, where they would identify any causes for discrepancies in the data. So were there big gaps? This kind of goes with the explore and discover, but just more like identifying these causes, these discrepancies for it. Is there any other data that will need to be used aside from what they're looking at? So say they're looking at reading scores for state assessments. Um, is there any other data that needs to be looked at, such as demographical data about, if are these students free and reduced lunches? Is this have a reason why they're doing not good or good on their state assessments? And then they would still, in this step, infer and question the data. And so it's basically just organizing it to where they can the data is easily accessible, but to where the teacher themselves understand it, because not everybody's going to understand the data the same. And then the last area would be to integrate and reflect. So this is where they would officially decide on a solution to close any gaps, or um, or help with any of the discrepancies, decide what data to monitor. So decide what's the next set of data to monitor, and then determine what steps they're going to take action. So what steps are they going to take to do this? And then reflect on their data collecting. Is this working well? Is it not? And then reevaluate their teaching and how the data was used. So basically reevaluate how they've been integrating the data into their lessons and into their teaching, and is it effective or is it not, and do they need to change that? So that is my data protocol.